Hello and welcome to another episode of Therapeutic Madness. My name is Mindy Vincent. I am your host, and with me, still and again, is our guest, Kara, who is going to finish telling us her story of trauma and how she found healing from that. And when we left off, you were all left in suspense because her and her husband Joe moved to Texas, and that's where shit started popping off. So what happened when you get to Texas? We'll just jump right back in.
All right,
because
right
we got to get into the healing part soon,
Yeah.
and that's the best part.
Yeah, absolutely. So we moved to Texas, and it was just like we weren't communicating, we weren't connecting. Everything was so stressful. The base we were at, he wasn't fond of where he worked, and it was a very stressful environment, and it just made him a crabby person.
Yeah.
So when he would come home, he was angry, and then, there's me, traumatized me over there, like, oh, I'm just going to either poke or feel like he hates me or do something, so I'm definitely not helping the situation.
Right.
And so we just keep butting and butting and butting and butting, and then...
Your mind reading skills were shit.
Yeah, they were horrid.
Just so you all know.
Yeah.
If you need something, you must ask. Closed mouths don't get fed. But also, none of us are mind readers, so I think especially in relationships, and when you've been together a long time, people think that they can read the mind of their partner, and no, you cannot. So it's better to ask and say, hey, like, it feels like you're hating me.
Yeah.
Hey, is that true? Yeah.
No, it is.
And it sounds so basic, and I know it's really hard to do,
Even though, what we say is, even though it's common sense for me, it might not be common sense for him.
Right.
So you have to communicate things.
Yes.
And if you don't, then you're just assuming that he knows, or that he does that, and it's like, no, like, well, I would say men are stupid, and that's, yes, men are really dumb. But he can't read your mind.
Right.
He can't do that. Or she. I feel like I'm saying he. Oops.
Well,
sorry.
you are, because you're married to a husband.
I know, so I'm married to my husband.
But yeah,
it's
other
impossible
people
for she.
can't read your mind. And this is not just in intimate relationships. This is in every relationship in your life. Like,
Yeah.
all human beings are different. We process information differently. We, our perception of things are different for everyone. And so it is so crucial in every relationship in your life. You use communication, you ask, when you did this, I felt this way, was that your intention? And then be honest, like.
And 9 times out of 10, it wasn't. That's not what they meant.
Yeah. Sometimes, and then sometimes, it's like, yeah, that was my intention at the time, and I feel bad about it now. Because when we're angry, when we have emotion that gets involved, sometimes we respond or react in a way that isn't how we want to. But if you're being honest, like at the time, it's like, yeah, I snapped back because I wanted you to shut the fuck up, at the time. And now I feel bad, and in the future, I could try to do that differently.
Yeah, and that's the thing about, like, calming down and being able to take a step back and be like, listen, I did fuck up. I'm sorry. Next time, I'll try not to react this way. I'll try doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, or asking them, like, so what would work best for you?
Yep.
How would you like me to respond in this situation? Yeah. Oh, I love that. Okay, so you guys are not doing that, though.
Not at this point.
That's not where we're at right now.
Not when we were in Texas.
So.
We were bad. And then my mom came down and visited, and I was seriously contemplating divorce. Like, I just didn't know that I could do this. The fighting was just out of control, and I was just miserable. And then I was really just going to call it quits. And then we found out I was pregnant with our youngest son. So I'm like, there's kids. I cannot leave without saying I tried literally everything. So we went to counseling. And our counselor.
It's so funny when people get to the place where they're like, I'm willing to try literally anything.
And then
so
we
like, went to counseling.
Oh God!
You should go to counseling before you get married.
Yeah.
And you should, if there's any sign of like struggle in communication, just go see a therapist, one that you like.
And even now, like, we're fucking great, but we still see Jamie.
Yeah.
Because you can always learn, and you can always grow, and you can always. Our thing is, or not our thing, I guess my thing, I want to know how to make him feel the way that I feel about him. To know that he's fucking great.
Yes, I
want you
love
to be
that.
happy.
That's how I am with my partners too.
Yeah.
Like, I want my behavior to be congruent with how I feel inside.
Exactly.
And so for me to show that to you, and I have a few love languages, but I love words of affirmation.
Me too.
I do love physical touch, but I also love like doing something thoughtful and nice. I love gifts.
Me too.
I don't care that much to get them. I like to give them. It's
Yeah.
really weird. So anyway,
No, I'm the same way. It
but
makes
yeah,
me
and
so
that's
happy.
important. Like if you love somebody, then show them.
Yeah.
You know, show them through your actions. And gratitude is an action word too. If you're grateful for somebody, show them.
But that's also why we went to therapy is
Doing this shit
I was
that I'm giving away for free.
yeah, basically. I was giving him love the way that I would receive it.
Yes.
Not the way that he receives. And
Oh, I
vice
love
versa.
that you just brought that up. Yeah, because we tend to love people in the way that we want to be loved. And we all have different love languages. This is why communication is so important. Because
that's why I told you that, like, your affirmations, like, that's your love language. I'm not physical touch. My husband's physical touch.
Yeah.
And I was not a cuddler, mind you.
So you feel like a cold, frigid bitch.
Well, I mean, that's just, like, naturally. It's fine. But I like cuddling now.
Yeah.
But whenever he, like, would want to be all over me, I'm like, oh, like, go away. Mind you, I have a 2 and a 3-year-old all over me all goddamn day.
Right.
So it's, sometimes you just need to, like, take a second and be to myself. But, for years, I was telling him how much I loved him, how great he was, how much I appreciate this, and not
cuddling
not
him.
cuddling, not being intimate, not being, there's different types of intimacy.
Right.
That can build that connection. I mean, besides sex, there's
intimacy and sex are not the same thing. Intimacy, I like the definition. Intimacy.
Yeah. So I wasn't showing him the type of love that he needed to receive, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
And I will admit, I was a lot of the problem because of my past trauma, and I learned how to cope, but I kept getting traumatized again by the same shit, and it's linking to what happened in the past.
Yeah.
So we went to therapy, we learned how to communicate. That was a huge thing for us, and once that happened, we were so different.
It all turned around.
Yeah, I think we started going when I first found I was pregnant, I was 2 months. By 6 months, we stopped going, and we were fucking great.
That's awesome. So then, we fast forward to now. When you've been in Utah, I asked her this outside. You've been in Utah 8 months.
Yeah.
And you guys are stationed at Hill Air Force Base?
Yes.
Shout out to Hill Air Force Base. So, do you like living on base?
We don't live on base. We live it's like right on the border of Roy and Hooper.
Ah! Hooper.
Oh my gosh. How do you say it?
Hooper.
No, it's
not. Oh, people say Hooper.
Hooper.
Yeah, but it's Hooper. I call it Hooper.
I always get made fun of whenever I'm like, right on the border of Roy and Hooper, and they're like, that's so cute.
Yeah, but make sure that you say hurricane instead of hurricane. Hurricane is down south. Yeah, hurricane. It's down south, and it's spelled like hurricane, but it's hurricane. And let's see, what's the other one that people say wrong? I'll let you know when you run across them. Of course, there's Tooele. But to me, it clearly spells Tooele, but hurricane's the big one. Don't screw that one up.
Okay.
We'll kick you out of Utah.
Okay.
You won't be able to be a Utah. Okay. No.
Noted.
She gets to stay. I already love her. So you guys end up moving here. Like things are okay in your marriage, or what's your marriage looking like?
Marriage is great. I was struggling just with my own depression. So after I had our son, I had a suicide attempt, and I'm going to touch on the military thing. So right after that happened, I went inside to my husband, and I was like, I need help. I need help right now. This is what just happened. I stopped it, but I didn't want to, and it felt like I was finally at peace. Like, this is not good. My mom's a nurse as well, so she's always been very open about not being okay, and it's okay. You just need to know when to ask for help. So at that point, I was like, shit, like, I need help. So we went inside and called the doctor, made an appointment with him. I went in, told him exactly what happened. Mind you, this was 2 weeks after I gave birth, so postpartum depression could definitely have been a play.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't deal with psychotic patients, and sends me away. No help.
That was a doctor that said that?
Yep.
That's really weird. Just so that everyone at home knows, to be psychotic means that you are hearing or seeing things that other people are not hearing or seeing, or you believe things that nobody else believes, like delusions, right? So that's what it means to be psychotic. So no doctor should have said that to you, but so they just send you away.
I went home, I cried. My boy's pediatrician in Texas at the time. She was on base, and you have your 2-week appointment after your kid's born or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you fill out like the mom sheet, like postpartum depression sheet. She was like, this is not good. And I was like, I made an appointment, like it's fine, you know. And then she was like, okay, but she's like, you promise you'll call me if you need anything. And I was like, yeah, sure. So my husband was with me when that happened, when she said that. So when
Was
we got
this
home,
before or after the suicide
this was
attempt?
before.
Okay.
The day before.
Okay.
So we got home, and he's like, I need to call her. I'm going to call her. So I called her. And her and her team wouldn't even let me get off the phone until I had a next day appointment with a psychiatrist.
Good. That's what crisis lines are supposed to work. Like, that's how,
And this is
you
my
know.
kids' pediatrician who's doing this for me.
Well, good.
Like, that's just, so that was another thing that happened in the military that I was just not okay with when it comes to mental health.
Right.
But that happened.
So you couldn't get the help that you were looking for there. Okay.
And it was like,
You had to have a pediatrician in Texas help you.
yeah, if I didn't know what I do know and how aware I am about mental health,
Mm-hmm.
I would have gone home and killed myself.
Yeah. I'm so glad you didn't. I'm so glad you didn't. So, how many months ago was this?
My son is 1.5 years.
Okay, so this was like 18 months ago-ish,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
No, this was right after he was born.
yeah, so like,
Wait,
he's
oh
18
yeah,
months
oh
old
yeah.
now, right? Okay, yeah, I'm like, wait a second.
I didn't do the math. Okay, sorry.
Oh, we're hilarious. So, like 18 months ago, so you become suicidal, then what happens from there?
I saw my psychiatrist. She helped me. She fixed all of my problems. She got me back on medication. Like, everything was great. And then after that, we kind of just decided that was bullshit. And luckily, again, I'm open and honest with my husband about that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But what if next time I'm not?
yeah,
So we put in a request to move to another base that has I have specific medical needs in my record on base, I guess.
mm-hmm.
The program's called EFMP. So when we get orders somewhere, it has to be a base that can provide me with these doctors that I need because of this stuff that is wrong with me.
Okay.
So we put
Is it
in
mental health stuff or physical stuff?
mental health.
Wow, okay, go
Yep.
on.
So we put
Kudos
in,
to that.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's a great program, and not a lot of spouses or active duty utilize it, especially when it comes to mental health.
Do you think they know about it?
No, I know a lot of them don't know about it.
I'm a VA provider and have been for almost a decade, and that's the first I've ever heard of it. I'm a mental health provider for veterans, and I never knew you could do that. But I mean, to be fair, I don't see them usually until they're coming out of the
Yeah.
service or they've gone into like the guard or something.
But they should still
Most
have
of them are
access to
released.
that.
Yeah, well, we'll have to find out if they do. Do you know if they do?
I don't know. I'm just
We need to find out about
yeah.
that. We'll find out about that, and we'll put the. Is there a link to them? Do you think? Like,
the EFMP.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know about the EFMP here at Hill.
interesting. We're gonna look into this and see what kind of information we can find and we'll put it in the link down below. So
Yeah.
go on.
So we filed EFMP PCS. So just we need to move because this base doesn't provide the medical necessities that I need.
Yeah.
And then we got approved.
And what base were you at when that happened?
Dyess Air Force Base in Texas.
Okay.
We got approved, we moved, and we bought a house sight unseen, and came up here and
Here in Hooper.
Hooper. And everything's been great in Hooper.
Hooper. We're weird in
So,
Utah. We have a weird accent.
Yeah, we do.
I don't. I've never
It's
even
all right.
noticed it
It's
until
fine.
other people tell me. And then I hang out with people from Minnesota, and they see, I'm sounding like a Minnesotan or a Canadian.
Oh,
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I like to say it like that. So you guys get here, you go to Hill Air Force Base, and then
Mhm.
what happens from there that makes you go, okay, something is not working right still for me, and I've got to do something different. And how did you find Jamie?
I was just tired because I had an incident here where I had to switch my medication. It didn't end up working, and I just went down on spiral real quick. And I was so tired of feeling this way. I'm so tired of feeling not good enough. I'm so tired of feeling worthless. I'm so tired of thinking that everybody's gonna leave me.
Yeah.
And then I also, no matter how hard I tried, I still had little, I don't even know, they're not like tiffs, but like I would be scared that my husband's gonna leave me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm so tired of it. Like, I'm physically exhausted. I'm emotionally drained. It was awful. And I knew it was affecting him a lot. And he's been putting himself aside for years
Yeah.
to help me get through mine.
And did your husband struggle with PTSD or anything after he came back?
Mm-mm.
He's lucky. Okay.
He has, yeah,
He's good.
yeah, he's good.
Good.
But he's been putting himself off for a long time.
Yeah.
And even just recently, actually, me and Jamie had a breakdown with him, and he needs to see what I see when I look at him.
Yeah.
He needs to grow that confidence and know how great he is.
Yeah.
And he deserves to.
He does deserve to. And it sounds like that might be part of what creates that codependence. It sounds like Joe might be a bit of a people pleaser himself.
Well, maybe. But
We
started, we love you very much. So EMDR was something that I saw with, like, good results for PTSD.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, like, this is one thing I haven't freaking tried. Let's just try it. Probably not going to work, but whatever.
Yeah.
So met up with Jamie, and I think after like 2 sessions, we jumped into EMDR. And I mean, I called my best friend literally the second I left that office with a huge smile on my face. She's laughing because she's never seen me this happy. She's like, what did she do to you? And I'm like, I don't even know. This woman is magic. Like,
you little sorcerer, Jamie.
What the hell did you do? Like, I'm broken. I don't feel broken. What the hell? Like, I felt broken my whole life. Like, this is what happiness feels like? So after that, I was like, fuck, yes. Like,
that was after your first session.
After my first session at EMDR, yeah. I was like, this is what happiness feels like. This is what I'm supposed to feel like. Like, fuck, I'm just done with it. So let's keep going. And we've been doing it since.
So tell everybody about, like, a little bit about how EMDR has worked for you, like, how it actually works. Because when people think about therapy, I think people only think about sitting down and, like, telling your life story to somebody and talk therapy, right? And talk therapy is just one kind of therapy. And EMDR, one of the things I love the most about it is that it doesn't require people to talk about things. Like, you don't have to relive the trauma and talk about it. So tell us about your experience with that. Like, what does EMDR look like when you walk into the office? Just go.
Well, first, Jamie made sure that I felt comfortable with her. So there's only there's just a certain level that you have to get to, I feel like.
Yeah.
To be vulnerable with somebody like that. So she was like, okay, like, do you want to try this? Are you ready for that? Like, you ready? And I'm like, yeah, like, I'm so over it that I'm so determined to be done, basically. So we tried it, and I sat on the couch, and she pulled her chair right in front of me, and she's like, if I just go like this during EMDR, I'm just reminding you that you're right here. You're not back there. You are right here with me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. Hard. No, like,
focus up. We have to make jokes, or it won't be fun.
Yeah. So we did that, and we brought up, she had like a freaking 6 back-to-back pages of trauma that I can remember.
Wow. In your float back?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then,
that's where you go in and retrieve the memories. Like, you have a current event that's going on that's a stressor, and you do what's called the float back, and it pulls these connected memories. And you had 6 pages of them? That's a lot.
I think. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Jamie. But I know it was a lot, okay?
And that's cool, though, because that, like, as somebody who is an EMDR practitioner, like, when that happens for somebody, what I have found is that they have lots of really long linkages. So, like, their desensitization lasts for a long time, and it just keeps bringing up, like, tons of things, and it's like, so
it just
interesting.
re-traumatizes you.
Yeah.
Every single time.
It's just, but it's interesting that it just has so many of them linked together at once. Like, I have one client that I've never even had to go back in and do another float back with her for a triggering incident because we can't get through all the ones that came up from the first one. We're not done with them yet.
Oh my god.
Because it's such a long link, which is really interesting. They all feed into like one. She has one super strong negative core belief. Yeah. So, but she's moving through it.
That's
it's
awesome.
just a lot. So.
Keep trucking.
Yeah. So you pull out. You have 6 pages or whatever of,
Yeah.
of memories, and
And the next time we do it, you know, you go back, okay, think about that memory. How do you feel? Like, what's your belief at this current, when you look at that image? And I know in a lot of mine, the image or perception is that I'm worthless. That's my big words. I'm worthless. And she's like, okay, well, what would you rather feel? I want to feel worth it. I want to feel like I deserve to be loved. And when you start it, so you just follow her fingers, or, you know, it's COVID right now, so you follow a ball on the computer screen.
Or you can do it with bilateral sound. It's bilateral stimulation, so you can do it with tapping or with sound or eye movement.
Oh, okay. So
most
she
of the
did the eye
research is
movement.
done around the eye movement.
Yeah, she did eye movement when I was there.
But when I got trained in EMDR, I had to do it with a person who's blind.
Oh.
And I was like, well, she can't follow my fingers. And they're like, oh, you can do tapping.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
I know, it's kind of wild. So it is
like
possible. And you can do EMDR with babies as young as 6 months. Because the body remembers trauma. And so, super trippy. So anyway.
That's insane.
Yeah, so if you think you're not a good candidate for EMDR, chances are you are.
Yeah. Obviously. Okay. Wait, now I'm trying to think.
So you had the positive cognition, I'm worth it. I deserve to be loved.
Oh, so, but even before that, when we were just like how I felt hopeless, what it does is it opens up the image, and then you take the strongest, what is it, like picture? Like moment in that?
Yep.
In that memory, and you just visualize it. And then you follow it with your eyes, and it's just like, you visualize it and you feel it in your body. Like, you feel it in your stomach and in your chest, and I don't know what she does. Again, she's a flippin' magician, but she just reminds me that I'm here, I'm not back there, and you can feel it move through your body. You can feel that tension move through your body, and you feel that, like, for me, a lot of the time it's in my heart, and it's just like pressure, and then it radiates, and then all of a sudden a little bit more is gone, and a little bit more is gone, and a little bit more is gone, and then at the end, she can be like, well, when you look at that memory, what do you think?
Yeah.
And it's like, a lot of the times, it's like watching a movie. Like,
Yeah.
I feel so bad for that girl. And she's like, okay, well, what would you rather believe? Well, I'm worth it, and I deserve to be loved. So then you do EMDR with those words. I'm worth it, I deserve to be loved. So you can link those words with that memory.
Yep.
So now whenever I look back at a lot of my trauma, because she said usually people start with small things, but I apparently started with all my big shit.
Yeah, well, it's funny that she'd say that, because when you do EMDR, you do start with, like, something small usually, but it goes back to something huge.
Yeah.
It just happens. Like, when I was getting trained for EMDR, you have to do EMDR. And obviously you're in a professional setting with a bunch of people, and so you don't want to pick, like, something deep, right? Yeah. So I chose anxiety from driving to California, because, Jesus, it's a madhouse out there. In LA, right? I was in LA. So, and it, like, immediately went back to my mom leaving when I was a little kid. Like, and I was like, oh, well, this is awkward. Please reel this in. What else can I choose?
I'm just kidding. Can we start over?
Right?
Let's do this again.
I was like, what's going on? And it's so weird. So one of the things that's so trippy about EMDR is that in conflict to, I wouldn't say conflict, but like, it's opposite of cognitive behavioral therapy, because you don't want to be, it's not a thinking therapy. And in fact, when people are overthinking and trying to rationalize stuff, they screw EMDR.
Yeah.
So the thing that is so trippy to me about it, I always describe EMDR as trippy, because, you know, you have this one thing, and then you start doing the flow back, and shit that you didn't even know, like, even happened, or stuff that you totally forgot about.
Yeah, like, I'm saying things like, what? How the fuck do I remember that?
Yeah.
I've never thought about that until this very moment.
And then you also think, too, like, why did it go there? I hear that all the time from clients. They're always like, wait a minute, why am I seeing this, or why am I feeling this? And I'm like,
just let it happen.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's the biggest thing with EMDR is you have to be able to just be curious.
Yeah.
Be curious and let your mind go where it needs to go.
Yeah, because it does the work for you.
It does. It really does. You just have to be open.
Yeah, and in the bilateral stimulation, it your eyes move like this when you're in REM sleep, and that's when your brain is doing its deepest processing. So it is believed through EMDR, and it's very well researched and pretty founded, that it moves, it like disjars like stuck memories, and it moves them through the processes. So like processing in EMDR happens super fast.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about, in one session, you desensitize and reprocess an entire memory. And then what did you find happened like with your big page of float packs? What happened when you, like, because you started going through and targeting the other memories, right?
So there was the big page of like everything that was wrong in my life.
Yeah.
That was one whole session.
Yeah.
The session in between that, and I had to call Jamie the next day and be like, I need to see you right now. Because that was so much to remember. That was so much to feel.
Yeah.
And she actually, I called her first thing in the morning. She was like, you were literally just on my call list. I just wanted to check in because that was a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to see you today. Like the night after I did it, I was just bawling. I was bawling like, why did everybody do that to me?
Yeah.
Why me? Why did I deserve it? And then the next day, that's when we did it. And then since that one big one, we've been able to do it all in one appointment.
That's awesome. So it's moving much faster for you.
Much faster now.
Have you gotten to the place yet where you go to process a memory that came up, and it's like, not the memory's gone, but the disturbance around it is gone? So then you don't have to...
Like what you think of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how you feel about it. And you're like, well, all of a sudden that one doesn't bother me anymore.
Well, okay, so
Have you
I
had that
have
happen
done
yet?
that, but I also have, so that's definitely happened. Like, the next day, I was actually just, like, talking to my husband. I just never felt worth it. I never felt worth love. I never believed he loved me and he's going to stay with me forever.
Yeah.
But now, like, or after that appointment, the next appointment with Jamie, I was just like, I'm fucking great.
Yeah.
And I was happy, and he said he has never seen me this happy in 7 years. This is the happiest and calmest he's ever seen me.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So are you still in EMDR? You're
Yes.
still doing it. And how has it changed, like, behaviors of yours? How has it changed how you think or feel about certain things?
Behaviors, I'm a really bad OCD clean freak, so when I feel like my life's out of control, that's what I can control.
Yeah.
I don't remember a time where I could let the house be messy for a little bit, or like, it can wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's, like, I
And
still
you
like
can do
things,
that now?
Yeah, I still like things clean, but if, like, I'm tired, yeah, I'm gonna go to bed, I can do it tomorrow. I can let it be.
Nice.
If I always would push myself, like I have sciatica on both my hips,
Ouch.
but I redid the flooring in our house. I was hurting so bad, but it needed to get done.
Yeah.
Couldn't walk for 2 days after that. But now, like, oh, my hip's hurting. I should probably sit down. I can relax. I deserve to relax.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to hit that perfection. I'm already doing great. And I'm just a lot calmer.
Okay.
A lot calmer with everything. And a lot, I don't know, just a lot more understanding and happy in general. Like, I'm okay. Like, I don't know how to describe that feeling besides just saying, like, I'm finally okay.
Yeah, like that chaos inside of you finally feels like it's going to rest.
It's just not here anymore.
Okay. Well, with that, I love hearing that, by the way. I love hearing people, I love having people have peace, hearing people have peace, because it's like, I think it's something that we're all searching for. People just want peace, peace of mind, peace of heart. So, okay, we're going to pause right there for a break, and we'll be right back on Therapeutic Madness. Hello, and welcome back to Therapeutic Madness. I am still Mindy.
I'm still Kara.
And we're going to just jump right back into this. So you were talking about some of the benefits and the calmness and peace that you found from EMDR. What do you think were, well, a couple questions. One, what did you think of EMDR when Jamie was describing it to you? What were, like, some of your hesitations with doing it, and what kind of things would you say to somebody who knows that they have trauma but choose not to do anything to work on it?
When Jamie explained EMDR, I basically just felt like I was at a hopeless point, and this is my life, and I just need to accept it. This is just another thing that everybody says is going to work, even though all the research that I've done, the results are incredible.
Yeah.
They're incredible. And I was hopeless. And I didn't believe anything. But I'm going to try. But I don't expect much.
Yeah.
And then doing it for the first time, I can't even describe that feeling. Like I said, I cry to her all the time just because she has no idea the impact she's made on my life.
Aww. I was going to say earlier, so Francine Shapiro is the creator of EMDR. She's actually the head wizard. So, and Jamie is trained like not too far off from that lineage,
Really?
I think. Yeah. Like the lady that like she did her supervision with after her training is the lady that when I was in my training in 2 other places in the state, both times they told me you need to do your supervision through this lady. Her name's Anastasia. She's like also quite renowned for EMDR. So anyway, so yeah, so it is magic. Did you think, what a bunch of hokey pokey when she told you about it? Because a lot of people when they hear about EMDR, they're like, yeah, that sounds like a bunch of bullshit.
I didn't think that. I just had no hope. Like, everything else is supposed to be helping and nothing fucking helps.
Yeah. Interesting. So what would you say to somebody who's like considering, you know, where they could be in any one of those parts of the stages of change, right? Where they're like, hey, maybe I have a problem, or I definitely have a problem and I need to do something about it, or maybe it's just they don't know that they have a problem necessarily, but they know that there's some things in their lives that are not turning out the way they'd like them to. You know, relationships are rocky, things at work, you know, there's lots of different things that make people seek getting some kind of help. So what would you say to somebody who's considering doing the work? Because trauma work's hard. We talked about that. Like, it's really scary to think about facing it.
That just because their trauma isn't something that's like huge and impactful, you still can get traumatized by things.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just a robbery or a rape or a, you know what I mean? There's so many different things that can traumatize you and hold you back.
Yeah. Well, even just think about a controlling parent that never makes their handling right, but like everything has to be a certain way. Like, and then you wonder why people have anxiety when they grow up.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. So that's don't doubt your trauma. I guess I would say that. Don't doubt it.
Or invalidate it.
Yeah. And if you're thinking about doing EMDR, what would I tell them if they were thinking about it?
Yeah.
I would tell them that they deserve to feel this.
That's so funny. Because that's exactly what I say to, like, I have a friend who, you know, he has some trauma, and it definitely impacts things in his life, and I just love him so much, and I just want him to have that same release that I get to have from EMDR, and I want him to see his worth the way that I see it, you know, and I don't think that he can because of these traumatic beliefs, and it also, as a therapist, I can see some of the behaviors that it leads him to engage in that aren't good for him.
Yeah.
You know, that, and it's just because I love him that I care, you know, and I've told him about EMDR and stuff, and I've told him that that's why, because he deserves to feel good, you know, he deserves to not feel like that anymore, he deserves to feel good.
Yeah. So that's what I would say, is that you deserve it, and if they were actually in person, like say you were doing it, I would say that, and I want to see you in like a month, and I want to see that damn smile on your face that you've never been able to do before. You've never been able to smile like that. And I want to see you come up to me and fucking hug me and tell me that I am so right, and that EMDR
I'll take my accolades, motherfucker.
EMDR is the best thing, and when you're in that, you don't know how bad it is. It's just like depression, like you're in a black hole, and you don't know until you get out, and you're like, holy shit, how long was I in that?
And that happens for people who, I see this all the time in practice, like with people who will not take medication.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they are like, oh, you know, it's okay. Like, you know, they think that their depression and anxiety is something that they just have to manage. That it's not, you know, it's not necessary to take medication. And then when people take medication, they find out how much better they feel. They're like, why did I take so long to take medication? Because you know, there's nothing that shows that struggling does anything for anyone. You know, that like
seriously.
struggling doesn't necessarily build character. Struggling kills people.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and so you don't have to struggle. That's the bottom line. Like there's treatments that'll help. There's medications that help. Medication sometimes though can just be like a pacifier. You know, it's just something that helps you get through until you can heal what's really underneath it. For some people, medication is something you take all your life. But either way,
taking medication till Jamie.
You were always taking medication until Jamie, and now you're not taking medication now?
I was on my
That could be your case. It might not.
Yeah.
We never know. And there is nothing wrong with, like, I mean, you're denying yourself and cutting yourself short when you're not trying things that really can help you get better. Yeah. So let's talk about how this is impacted, because now you're passionate about something, right?
Yeah. Like, Jamie's like, stop giving people my phone number. I am getting so booked. And I'm like, no. She's like, you know, there's other EMDR therapists. And I'm like, but
they're not you.
Yeah, you're like the best one, so they need to see the best one. It's fine.
That's so funny. So, but besides EMDR, now you're very passionate about mental health in the military.
Yeah, so
tell us all about that and how this all got spurred and what you want to do with it, and like where's the lack at, where's the, you know, what needs to be different.
So growing up, my mom was a nurse. So, like I said, it was always okay to not be okay. She always helped me identify, like, hey, you're in the black hole right now of depression. Let's get you to the doctor. Let's get you out of it, okay? So she was always very supportive and very, very open with how we feel. And I've always been aware of it. And it wasn't like now I feel like it's my calling. Like, this is my life's purpose, is to help people with mental health.
Yeah.
Before I didn't. I don't know. Well, I guess having kids changed me. Having that instance in, after my youngest was born, that suicide attempt, like a month or two later, we were driving to Arizona, and I saw that there was an airman on base that killed himself. And it just, like, I just started bawling. And my husband's like, are you okay? And I'm like, just thinking that somebody is out there, and they think that not one person cares about them. And they think that maybe they did go and get help like I did, but then they got turned away, and that's their last straw.
Yeah, or maybe they really do think the world is better off without them, and that is a heartbreaking thought to me.
Nobody, like, I was bawling, saying nobody should ever fucking feel that way.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't care what I have to do.
And there's hope if you do.
Yeah. If you feel this way, we care about you. We need you here.
And it can get better.
Yeah. And so when we moved up here, I had that idea in the car with him when we were driving to Arizona. I was like, I'm going to fucking make a change. This is bullshit, you know? Like, I went from, like, being so sad and da-da-da to, like, angry and all of that. But...
And now I'm on a mission!
Yeah, basically. So when we came up here, or I guess while we were back in Texas, I told other spouses what happened with that doctor.
Yeah.
And then other people were coming to me saying, yeah, I went to my doctor showed him where I cut myself, and then I said, no, never mind. And they sent you away.
Wow.
Or I go to my doctor and I tell them that I'm depressed, and they just say that it's just a seasonal thing. Like,
it'll pass.
I heard so many stories of people going to get help and being sent away.
Yeah. That's terrible.
I can't imagine that. I can't, I can.
Yeah, and we know that it does happen. We know that people get sent away. We know that people don't get the help that they need. We know that people also are so in fear of using the VA system whatsoever that they don't seek help. But we lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that doesn't include, their spouses, their families. But we lose 22 veterans a day to suicide. Period, and that's not acceptable. And many, there's been a lot that have killed themselves right there at the VAs, and it's like
this past year, the suicide rate in just the Air Force has gone up 33%. They had a mental health day on base. The day after that, I think it tripled. The suicide rate just that next day tripled.
Why, do you suppose?
Because they're too scared to get marked as mental health, because they think it's either going to damage their career, they're not going to be able to re-enlist, they're not going to be able to do X, Y, and Z, they're not going to be able to go certain places, and that's not true. And if they had somebody to go to that I'm not, this person, maybe this person can just help you find what you need without blurting it to everybody. Putting it on your record, putting it here, putting it there, da 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 da. And I think if they knew that this is not going to damage you, you need help. It's okay to need help. This isn't going to damage your career.
Yeah.
It's not.
Is it true that it's not going to damage their career?
It is true.
Okay. How do you know?
Because I've gone to providers and all of my husband's leadership.
And they've told you that it doesn't damage the career at all. So tell me what it is that you would like to do. Like, what's the project that you'd like to create? What would you like what would you like the outcome from this programming to be? Tell us your ideas and plans.
So when we got to Hill, I had to switch medications.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling you about that. It didn't go well. It wasn't working, so I went from 0 to suicidal really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Went into the base saying, I'm going to kill myself today. Help me. I got sent home with a card on how to breathe.
And that's when you said,
that's when I said, this is bullshit.
So then what have you done since then, and what do you want to do? What's your master plan? Because this has all happened, like, fairly recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, you're in the beginning stages.
Yeah.
The birthing stages,
basically,
I would call them.
Yep. So after that happened, I just got 0 to angry. Like, I would say, actually, 0 to determined. Like, this is going to fucking change. I'm done with this. So, I started working with my husband's higher up, and he was like, okay, I want you to bring in your idea, and then I'm going to give you feedback on everything that you need to do and everything that everybody else is going to ask you to do. Like, you need to legitimize all of this, right?
Yeah.
So what I want to do is create a 24-hour suicide plan with the PCMs on base for active duty and spouses.
PCMs are what?
Your primary care.
Okay.
So if I come in and I say, like, I'm really depressed, or I guess it wouldn't be for that. If somebody came in and said they're suicidal,
right,
I'm going to kill myself. Here is a basic 24-hour plan that needs to happen. And on that 24-hour plan, it would be somebody, or me or somebody in an office, that this man or woman gets sent to this office, and you do not leave until you have somebody with you for the rest of that night, and in the next 24 hours you are with a counselor or a therapist or anybody who can help you. And then you do weekly check-ins. I don't have to tell your command. I don't have to tell anybody. But you need to know that I need you here.
Yeah.
I want you here. You deserve to be alive, and you just need a little bit of help.
Yeah. And so when you say that, like, the first thing I think of is a safety plan. So I used to be a crisis worker.
Yep.
And we were required to make safety plans.
So PCMs don't, there's not a
There's not a requirement.
There's not a requirement. They just do whatever they think is best in the situation.
Yeah, which is either commit them or set them free. But if you set somebody free, you're supposed to make a safety plan with them.
No.
And so, do they have, like, therapists and counselors on base? Like,
there is
how?
a BOP.
Why are people only seeing, like, primary care doctors that actually don't specialize in mental health?
So the therapist that's on base, he can only see, I don't know if he sees just spouses or spouses on active duty. But he does 30-minute sessions, and he's booked, way booked. Yeah. And then I know that if you go to mental health, there are therapists there. I guess I'm just a EMDR snob now, because it's just not good enough. I know you can feel better. Yeah. And I feel like that really makes me an EMDR snob. Well, and the bottom line, though, is that when you needed the help, it wasn't there for you. And you don't want that to happen to anybody else. So even if the policies are already in place and maybe they're not being followed, or maybe they need to be changed. So with that 24-hour plan, I want to give a briefing every single month to all of the doctors, everybody who works in the medical field at Hill, give them this briefing, so they do not forget, and you implement it. And if you have any feedback, if you have anything else that you want to add or take out, or let's talk, let's do it. How can we help these airmen and these spouses and these family members? How can we help them more? Because obviously what we're doing right now, it ain't working. Yeah, it's not enough. Yeah, and then I also want to do briefings for the active duty to show them the statistics on suicide, on depression, check on your spouse, you know, check on your family, check on this, and this is not going to affect you.
Are you finding that that's not happening currently, like
It's
in the
not.
military? Because I feel like
It's a
it seems
hush-hush.
like everybody knows that there's 22 vets a day who are committing suicide.
That they know, but active duty?
Yeah. So they're, you don't think people are just talking? People are just not talking about
it's
that.
a hush hush, because if your commander finds out, then your commander's all up in your business, or if your higher ups find out, or they could belittle you for it, or they could just not think it's a big deal, or they could hold it against you. Like, so there's definitely things wrong here.
Yeah.
And the number of people killing themselves is going up and up and up. And I don't care if I have to try and pass this or make it happen for the rest of my life. If I can get one person to feel like they need to be here,
Yeah.
and you deserve to be here, and you're fucking great, then okay,
Then it's
I
worth it.
just want that one person.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I'm sad that you've had to go through what you've had to go through, and I'm also glad that it's taking you to a place where you're ready to do something to, you know, change the system and help others, because that's how change happens, you know, and it usually happens by those of us who have had that happen to us and we're angry and we don't want that anymore. And that's why I am so crazy about opioid overdose, you know.
Yeah.
I lost my sister. So when it's affected you personally, you know, sometimes that's the charge we need to get out and make change.
Yeah, and I just keep, like, currently doing it, I keep hitting roadblocks. Roadblock.
What kind of roadblocks do you think?
Calling, telling somebody what's going on, what I'm trying to do. Maybe try this, call this number, I don't know. Maybe call this number, I don't know. Maybe call this number, I don't know. And it's like, no. I need to talk to somebody higher up that can help me out with this. But at the same time, like, my husband and I were talking about this, and it's like, you can't just be like, hey, I'm a random stranger off the street, I need you to employ me because what you got going on, it ain't good enough.
Yeah.
Type of thing, you know? So, yeah, that's just roadblock. Nobody knows what to do or where I would even start. And I keep calling, and my husband was talking to me about it and getting my foot in the door, so, like, working on base somewhere.
Yeah.
Working with a commander, getting my foot in the door is that, and then bring in my idea. Listen, this is what I see, this is how it can be fixed.
So I think there'd have to be somebody, though, that's like over mental health stuff that you would be able to contact without even being an employee and be like, hey, I mean, there just has to be, I feel like, but nobody knows who that is yet, but there has to be somewhere.
Stepping on toes and doing it correctly.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Oh,
So,
that's hard. What can I do to support you in it?
I was thinking that charity,
No, that's really cool, huh?
right?
We're going to talk to these people. We had a really great little
It was like a,
chat.
yeah.
Thank you, universe, outside. So
Yeah.
we'll definitely, you'll hear more about that.
But I think if we
It's
can
exciting.
just get, because like you said, like veterans,
Mm-hmm.
everybody knows about veterans and the suicide rate and everything like that.
Right.
Active duty spouses, like there's on the, there's a Facebook page for wives, at Hill Air Force Base, and even on that, there's anonymous posts all the time. Feeling depressed, suicidal, hate myself, hate my life, I don't know what to do anymore. What the hell?
Yeah.
So I think somebody should be employed, mind you, yeah, I think it's me because I'd be the best at doing my idea. Let's be real.
That's correct.
So I think somebody should be employed on base, there every single day. And, if somebody, like if you go to your PCM, or if you are you don't want anybody to know, you can come in and I will have a list of doctors who you can get in to see, that I will specifically call and make sure that they would work with me and TRICARE and be like, these are urgent situations, we need to get them in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And they can sit there and we can come up with a plan together. And then, you know, tomorrow I'm going to call you, I'm going to ask you how you are. But just having that check-in, knowing, and having that feeling that somebody else cares about my life.
Yeah.
That can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And nobody's doing that.
And they're just being like available resources and somebody who's willing to walk with you
Yeah.
in that.
Absolutely.
Gosh, it seems like peer support specialists would be a lovely group to have here. I mean, they have them at the VA, but like, not. I don't know that they have them for really active duty kind of personnel. So that's interesting. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to see what you do with this, and you know, I know you and I we're friends now.
Yeah.
And we have things that we have to do together.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see where this goes, and you know, I'm very passionate about helping veterans, and I'm really grateful for your service as well as your husband's service, and I'm incredibly grateful that you came here today to share your story and be so vulnerable and to share with us what needs to be different and what are some ideas of how we can make it different.
Absolutely.
Yes, Kara.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy.
She's the greatest. So, with that, we are going to wrap up this episode of Therapeutic Madness. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're feeling suicidal, if you need help, we're going to put some numbers down, and we'll put links to some information down below where you can reach out for crisis lines, or I'll find something for veterans too. There has to be a veteran line, and I'm going to look into it. And yeah, we'll make sure you have that information. And until next time, stay mad, my friends.